So we serve a really good God, right? It's very easy to say we serve a good God. Sometimes I think it's so easy to say, really, let's think about the day you got married, right? Man, I serve a good God when I got married. He pulled me out of some stuff and gave me an angel, man. I serve a good God. I serve a good God. But sometimes when we walk through battles, it's very hard for us to say, I serve a good God, isn't it? Sometimes, let's say it's that divorce. It's not as easy when you're walking through divorce to say, I serve a good God, as it is when I'm walking through my marriage to say, I serve a good God. It's not as easy for me to say I serve a good God when I can pay my bills, right? I can't quite pay my bills yet, so maybe God's not as good as I thought he was. Can we be real this morning? I'm just going to be real with you. I serve a good God when I can pay my bills and I've got extra to go on vacation and I'm driving that nice fancy car and I've got all these cool clothes on. I serve a good God then, don't I? But on the other side of that is when I can't, my lights just got turned off. Man, I don't know, God, are you still there? Yeah, I hope it's okay. Y'all, I was telling my wife on the way here, I was praying. Y'all know when God makes a change like this, right? Most of the time it's because there's something coming you need to hear. I started getting real nervous when I found out it was my turn to step up here again. Because I was like, ooh, that's not the plan. God's changing the plan. God's changing the plan. There's something. So I'm flipping through my note. You know, I'm in a panic because I'm still the youth pastor. I want to make sure y'all like me, right? I still serve you. So if you don't like me anymore, you just go, bye, guys. No, I'm just kidding. I know you don't do that. So I'm in a panic. I'm like, man, God, you want to do something big. What are we doing here? And I knew immediately where we were at. I knew immediately of something we needed to talk about. And we're going to talk about a story here in a second. And it won't take long. But there's a point in that story I want you to realize that sometimes we miss as Christians. But it's really easy to say I want a good life or I serve a good God when everything's going my way. But let the world come against me. And that's a moment where we should realize how good he is. But we get so caught up in our circumstances that we forget he's even there. We get so caught up in what I'm walking through. Just like I got caught up in this little hurricane that I thought was this tiny hurricane. Now, I will say this, and this is just a joke for those of you who know I'm not trying to be spiritual, but I told them they were in trouble when they named that hurricane Michael. I named it. Now, I wish I'd have never said it because I said it on Tuesday when it was a tropical depression. I wish I'd have never said it, but I told them they were in trouble. We blow up real big. All right, so, physically, no, I'm just kidding. All right, so, it's real easy to say I serve a good God. Romans 8:28 says what? I love this church. I don't even have to go back to my Bible. I can just say, what does it say? And you guys are on it. I love that. Let's read it together. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose. So we can almost make a statement if we know that God works for the good, right? I know that I serve God, and in serving God, he is always working for my good. Whether I see it, whether I believe it, my response really doesn't matter because it says as long as my response is to him, he's going to make sure everything works to my good. So if we can say that, because I want you to think about the circumstance right now, because I could go around the room and I could probably have you raise your hand for most of us, especially now with what we just came through, and say, is life good right now? And there's a lot of you that might say, no. I love how silent it is, just like, that was cool. Is life good right now? So for those of you that say no, it's okay to say no, right? I think sometimes we get caught up acting like we got to have everything together because I'm a Christian, right? I got to have it all together. I'm a Christian. No, God don't want you to have it all together. He wants to put it together. That's where he's coming from. He wants to take your mess and clean it up. So if I can say life's not good right now, and I know that God is working for my good, that's the worst grammar you'll ever hear me use, ever, because it's a big deal to use this word for me. But if I know life's not good, then I know if it ain't good, God's not done. Right? If it ain't good right now, God's not done with where you are. If you're not walking through the good life, right? Man, I grew up thinking I'm gonna have the good life. We all know the good life. Sometimes our image of the good life is not what God's image, but that's a whole nother sermon. But if it's not good right now, then you know He's not done. So maybe you're in a situation that's not good. So I want to talk about some people that were in a situation that were not good. And I want to read the scripture because it's very specific to things that are in it that if you don't catch it, God put them in there for a reason. He's telling you the backstory so that you can use it, right? So here's how this goes. John 11, 1 through 6 is where we'll start, and 17. See if they got it up there for us. We'll move on. Now, a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany. You got to remember that. It's pretty important. The village of Mary and her sister Martha. This Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick, was the same one who poured her perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. So, when he heard, Jesus said, "The sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." Now, Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. As a matter of fact, he loved them so much, he decided he would just stay where he was for 2 more days. See, when I say it that way, you get my point, don't you? He loved them so much. You're my bestest bestie, and you and me are like this, and I know you're sick, so I'll tell you what, I'll come see you in about 2 days. 2 days, and I'll come see you. I'll come help you out. I love that they put in the part about Martha was the one with sorry, make sure I said that right, because y'all know I get crazy. Yes, Mary was the one. I knew I said it wrong. Mary was the one with the perfume. I love that because that was her praise. So here's this lady who praises God the way he wants to be praised. She does the things the way he wants it done. She's living the life the way you think you're living your life for God. And she says, "I need help." And God says, "I'll be there in 2 days." Now, don't act like you don't feel that way sometimes. We walk through circumstances, we walk through situations where I'll look at it and I'll be like, "God, you got to do something." And it feels almost like God just says, "Yeah, I'll get to it. You just sit there. Let's see how long you can stand right there." I told you I'm going to be real. I'm honest, right? I'll tell you, when it hurts, it hurts. And when I'm tired, I'm tired. And there are moments in life when I'm fighting this good life walk and I'm doing what I feel God told me to do. And there are moments when I'm like, "God, you need to do something because I'm about to go under." And it feels like he goes, "Yeah, I got this, go. God, this is a big deal to me. Please move." "Yeah, all right, sure, we got this." "You're not hearing, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" Right? That's how I am sometimes. And I know you guys are y'all get proper. I'm good with that. You can be all proper, but I promise you close that door, y'all do the same thing. I know better. But we reach a point where we're like, "Man, God, you've got to do something." And he's like, he gives the promise. This won't end in death. I'll get there when I get there. God gives us promises, right? He told you your promise, but the problem is he's not moving fast enough for you. The problem is you've got this all figured out. I'm pretty sure that's why he put 2 days in there, for you to figure out your plan won't work anyway. Wait till I get there. That's how it works. Yesterday, we're building a fire, and I'm building a fire pit, and we're trying to get it ready, and I'm spraying it. There's like ants everywhere, so I'm spraying ants down with water. And Judah comes up, and he's like, Dad, you're never going to start a fire in water. And I'm just smiling. I'm like, I got it. I got a plan. And Judah's like trying to figure out how is he going to start a fire. But what he didn't realize is I took a stack of rocks and set them over here that I could keep dry. All he saw was me spraying with water. He didn't realize I'd already set up the plan. And it was real fun because he's starting to figure some stuff out. And he just looks at me and goes, well, at least I know if you've got a plan, it usually works. He has no clue what he even said spiritually, does he? See, if we could live our lives of realizing, let's stop looking at, it looks like God's spraying water right here. He's killing those ants, man. He's taking care of the ants. God, we still got a fire. I still got to make this fire. And he's just like, I got this. Give me some time. I've got this. Give me 2 days. Now, sometimes I think in that process of the 2 days, I probably shouldn't name this 2 days. I said the good life, but who knows? Who cares what the name is? We're kind of moving on. But in that process of those 2 days, they're very important. Because he talked about he was from Bethany. How many times in this Bible do you know when he tells you where they're from, it means something? He told you that he was from Bethany because they have a ritual with their dead. They drain the blood. They remove the organs. They make sure they dead. Ain't nobody coming up. They dead. But if you look at that in a circumstance kind of point of view, you could probably say it was a hopeless point. Hopeless in the fact, from a natural state of mind, he has no organs left. He has no blood left. How's he going to come back? He's dead. It's hopeless. At least that's how we start to view it, right? And I love that I really love that not only did he wait 2 days, but when he got there, he'd been dead for 4. I love that. Making sure I get everybody caught up here. Perfect. So John 11, 38, 39. We're kind of moving forward because I know we're on time-wise. I really don't know what time it is. I just feel that way. But here we go. Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. But Lord, said Martha. She's the one who didn't praise anyway. We know she's the bad sister. I'm just kidding. The sister of the dead man. By this time, there's a bad odor, for he's been dead there for 4 days. I love this, right? Here's Jesus. He's already set the mode. He's like, I'll go down in 2 days. Now, if you're his disciples, what are you thinking? Well, what's he going to do if I die? He loves Mary and Martha. So he's like, let's wait 2 days. He gets there. It's been 4 days, right? 2 days travel. And he says, all right, now I'm ready to do something with this thing. Move the stone. But like all of us, Martha goes, it's over. He's dead for 4 days. It's over. He stinks. It's over. See, some of you think your circumstance has caused you to stink. You're walking around with this odor of death on you in a state of negativity because you think Jesus can't do what he told you he was going to do because you don't trust him enough to know he's got a plan. And he's saying, all right, now that you're at a point where you realize there's no way it could be you, watch what I can do. And he wants to take that dream of yours, he wants to take that circumstance of yours, he wants to take what you're walking through, and he wants to receive the glory. The problem is, our human nature is we want all the glory, don't we? So he goes, you know what, I'll give you enough glory to sit there for 2 days and stink. You just go ahead and get to where you smell real bad. Because when you get to that point where you're at the bottom, and if you've never been there, I have. When you get to that point where you're at the bottom, that's when you're saying, God, I just don't know. I know I can't do this. And if you don't do something, I can't go forward. Every time is about the time when you get to that point of mind, or state of mind, is when he comes in and goes, now we can move. Sometimes he's got to break us down. Sometimes he's got to make sure we're going to stand strong when everything else is coming at us. Because when we get back up, it's not for you, right? I hope y'all figure this out. This life's not for us. When we stand back up, it's because there's somebody watching you. And when you stand back up, he's going to get the glory, and they're going to go, I want to serve that God. Where's that God? That's the God I want. He's the real God. That's who I want to serve. Because he receives the glory. And he wants to wait until you stink. I love it. I know I get carried away, but I love it. He wants you to stink. Y'all gonna go home today and you say, what'd you learn at church? God wants me to stink. That is not an excuse to not take a bath. All right, so John 11, 40 to 44. Finish this out. Then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So they took away the stone. Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you've heard me. I thank you that you've heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. And when he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and a cloth around his face. Because remember, they had a ritual. And in case you didn't catch on in Bethany that that's how that worked, he wanted to make sure you understood. He's wrapped up like a mummy. This guy ain't coming back to life unless God says it's time to come back to life. He wanted to make sure we understood that. They took off the grave clothes and let him go. I love this. I love that they had to take off his grave clothes. They had to take off what was stank. He smelled real bad, so you know what? We had to take that stank off. We got to get this man some new clothes. He's a new creature. I've just made him somebody new. We need to get him something better to put on. He's now my child. I just raised him up. It's the same in your life. You see, I love the story because it really represents where we are. In life, God's given you a dream. God's put a vision inside of you. He's promised you things, and you've reached in life, and you've had circumstances that have absolutely knocked you off your feet. And when we get knocked off our feet, we have two choices. We either get back up, or we whine and cry and stank. So when he knocks us off our feet, he's saying, you know what? I've got a plan. I need you to trust me. But that's the hardest part, isn't it? The hardest part is understanding, God, you don't see. We get to where we really feel, God, you don't see me. And he says, yes, I do. I've got a plan. God, you don't understand what I'm walking through. And he probably chuckles at that one like, yeah, okay. Because I understand it all. I walked it. I came to the earth. They killed me, remember? God, you don't know what this is like. I've got this. We've got a plan. But can you trust the plan? Moses didn't, remember? Moses was given a plan to speak to a rock, and he took his staff and he slapped a rock. And God said, you didn't follow the plan. How many times you see God tell these stories over and over and over, and almost every time the results are back and they come back and they relay, I've got a plan, stick to the plan, but he tells you about the one who didn't. I've got a plan, stick to the plan. I used to love Jiminy Cricket, right? Jiminy Cricket. I'm going to live to be 103. All right, but he always had the way to do it and the way not to do it. A lot of times we give these examples, God puts them in the Bible of how not to do it. But for some reason, we can't break the mold. We can't get ourselves to realize he's got a plan if I'll just walk the plan. He doesn't expect you to know where you're going. He just expects you to say, oh, step right here, okay. He doesn't want you to know where you're going to end up. He just wants you to know, oh, you said step right here. Okay, where are we going now? Right? Oh, there's a lighted path over there. I need to get it rolled. I need to be right here at that lighted path. Right? And you can be right, oh, look at this lighted path over here. He doesn't want you to sit there and go, all right, so I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. All right, God. Okay, that's a good plan, God. I love your plan. That's good. Because whether we like it or not, he doesn't care if we like the plan. Can we just say that? Because there are moments in life where I'm like, God, I do not like your plan, but I'll do it anyway, right? I go kicking and screaming. I'm no different than you. But when you follow the plan, you come back to life. When you follow the plan, you don't stink anymore. Now you got something everybody else wants. What do you think happened after that? You don't think people took off running to Lazarus to be like, is he real? What is going on? How did you do that? So when God raises you back to life, you know what's going to happen? First question out of their mouth, how did he do that? They were on the ground. They weren't coming back up. They were dead and gone. And God goes, I got this. So this morning, I want to end on this, and I was telling you about the story of hearing how they would call in. And when they would call in, you'd hear them kind of go back and forth, and they'd say so-and-so. I remember these stories very vividly. One of them had cancer, needed their medicine, couldn't get to chemo. The person was on their way. Another one was the diabetes. They couldn't get their insulin. They're trying to figure out how to get insulin to them. And then you hear somebody call, I've got some insulin, I'm on my way. I mean, it's like one after the other. And it was an amazing feeling. And you really don't understand this feeling until you see it. And some of you have experienced it here too. When you know this has happened and there's a disaster. And it's amazing how you look up and see a convoy of power trucks and your heart goes, oh, they're going to be okay. It's amazing how the police officer's car in a convoy, you know, usually you see the police car, and if you're like me and you're like, how fast was I going? How fast was I going? Just saying. But this go around, I'm down there, and I see these guys take off, and it's like my heart just goes, man, look at this. These people are uniting together. You got people standing up together, coming together, fighting for a cause. But when you see that, man, it's something in your heart just goes, we're okay. So this morning, I really feel God wanted me to get up here this morning and look at you and say, just breathe. You're okay. There's a plan. He's got a plan. He understands it's not easy, but when he finishes the plan, you're going to be so thankful to not stink anymore, you'll forget the trouble you even had. Your praise is all you've got, some of you, so praise. Your worship is all you've got, some of you, so worship. Your word is all you've got, so read it. Your prayer will do more in 2 seconds than the entire convoy can go down there and do in Panama City. Your prayer is so strong when you speak it, it happens. When you believe. So this morning, I just want to remind you to believe. Don't falter on the plan. Because the plan is good. And when he's done, you're going to have a good life. But if it's not good, see, I couldn't even say it that time. God's not done. If it's not good right now, God's not done. Don't think this is the end of the circumstance. This is only the beginning of God moving. And when he's done, it will be good because you're his child. He loves you. He cares for you. He knows where you are. Don't think he doesn't see you. And he just wanted me to come up here this morning and remind you he's got a plan. Stick to the plan. Would you stand?